how are we going to keep the discussion or the interpretation small enough that the questioner can handle it and handle the information you would give in the answer, but at the same time big enough that it's helpful and the questioner can live more wisely and live more fully after the reading? And the answer is, this is part 1, section 5, and it's called, and the answer is, use the picture on the card. They say the first rule of giving a presentation is to identify your audience, so you know what to say and what sort of things to talk about. And years ago I watched a fireman. It was one of these bring your father to school class things. And so there was a fireman talking to a class of 9-year-olds about his job. And they wanted to hear about fires and explosions and excitement. And he spent like 20 minutes talking about the ideal pounds per square inch pressure in a hose for optimal, I don't know, the biggest amount of water in the shortest amount of time. It was really boring. The class stopped listening. I wasn't interested either, even though I was not 9 years of age. So I think if we apply this kind of know your audience to a tarot spread, I think the reader ought to aim to talk to people in language they can understand. I think that's important. I read a web post a while ago, I don't remember where, but the author wrote that, for example, and the thing that struck me was, the emperor is, and the quote was, the emperor is the progenitor of the laws and the order of society. Okay? This sounds great, it sounds good, and it might even be true, but I don't think it's that helpful in an answer to most normal questions. You know, am I going to get a job? Well, the emperor comes up. The emperor is the progenitor of the laws of society. So I'm giving you this example. So by all means read books with apparent meanings of cards, but I don't think you should feel that you have to memorize what they tell you, or even make much use of what you read in books, in certain books anyway. On the other hand, I'm thinking that we get something real and manageable if we start with the card and the question that the person asked and move out from there, rather than, okay, you've got the question, you've got the card in front of you. Instead of thinking, okay, there's a huge pile of answers out there, right? And I'm going to go there and I'm going to shuffle through the answers. I'm going to pick the right one that will answer this question. Because these answers already exist somewhere out there. And I'm going to sort through them and pick the right one. But that's how a lot of people, and maybe even most people, seem to think that that's how a tarot reading is done, and that's how you use the tarot to get an answer. If we're going to get a message across, we can do this well if we use the picture on the card, and I'm recommending the Rider-Waite deck in particular. So if we work with the picture, people are going to understand the point we're making. So let's say we get the 8 of coins. It's the card of the apprentice, shows the fellow sitting, working away at making the coins. You can say to the person, you're supposed to work away at what you're doing and refine it and make it better and practice and keep working. And they can, depending on what the question is, they can see the picture and they can understand why you're saying what you're saying. And they can also understand that working away at something or doing it once and then doing it again, only doing it better, makes sense and is going to get a result that they're looking for. Or maybe you've got the Temperance card. So you look at that and the person can see this angel is holding the 2 cups in front, and there's some kind of energy going back and forth between the cups. So you might say to the person, you want to do blah, 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 you want to do this, you want to do that. But with the Temperance card, you can see the energy going back and forth between the cups. Keep it to yourself for a while. Right, maybe you've got a good idea, you've got a plan, but instead of bringing in other people, or instead of, you've got this beginnings of an idea, and sharing it with other people or trying to get other people involved. Don't do it like that. Be like the angel and keep the energy circulating within yourself. So keep the idea to yourself for a while until it's strong, or until it's fully formed, or until it's well developed. Then you can share it safely and you're not going to lose anything. And the person can look at the picture and they can see the energy circulating from one cup to the other, but sort of through the angel and then back to the other cup again. So they can understand what you're saying and why you're saying it. So that the other point of using the picture and showing the picture to the questioner is that he or she is going to be able to apply what the picture shows to their actual situation, even if you, the reader, can't make the exact connection and give them names and dates and places. So even if you talk generally about what's shown on the card, the questioner is going to be able to relate what you're saying to the specifics of their situation. Right, so with the Six of Cups, for instance, we've got the young fellow and the girl, and he's exchanging the gift. So maybe you talk about exchanges or the value of exchange and gifts. And maybe you talk about people and their relationships and what's good about relationships and why we need other people. Or maybe you talk about what's bad or what's not going so well if the card is reversed. So if you talk generally about relationships and good and bad, what works, what doesn't work, what can get in the way, the questioner can recognize and identify who is involved in the answer because they know the people, they know the specifics of the situation, and what the picture shows is going to make sense to them. So the reader doesn't have to know who they are or their names or their dates of birth or anything like that. You don't have to be a great psychic to do this. There's a fellow I used to like to listen to. His name is Frank Kern, and he does marketing videos, and he sells these highly expensive marketing courses, and he trains people, and he's a coach. And he's very entertaining. I used to like to watch his videos and his promotional stuff. And there was one time he said, these are the kind of results that I get. But then he says, I don't know what's going to happen for you, even though the methods work for me. And then he said, I don't know the future. I'm not psychic. And then he continued on with what he was saying. And it struck me then, just because you're psychic, how did this begin, that just because you're psychic, that you automatically know the future? Because psychics can be wrong. Yet we have this sort of assumption that if somebody's psychic, then the kinds of things they say are automatically correct and true and real. Whereas just because you're psychic, it doesn't mean anything about the future. Anyway, if we stay with that Six of Cups, and if, let's say, the question we've got is from a mother who's worried about her daughter's romantic life, right? So the mother says, okay, what's happening with my daughter? You shuffle, pick a card and get the Six of Cups. And then we look at the card. So it shows a couple in the foreground, and that sort of makes sense as referring to the daughter and the boyfriend, right? We can look at that. But if you look to the left, you see a guard walking away. So maybe what we do is we point this out to the mother and we say, what can you do about your daughter? Stay out of it. Walk away. Be like the guard. Walk away and leave the two people to get along with what they're doing. But be available so they can consult you and they can take advantage of your experience if they want it. The guard is older and probably wiser, we can say, and stronger. So he's walking away, but he's available for the couple if they need him. So be like the guard. If other people are interfering, stand guard and keep these busybodies out of the relationship. And okay, the mother may argue with you, or the mother may disagree. And then you can deal with the objection if there is one. But she can also see the logic of what you're saying just by looking at the picture. And the other thing is, the idea will have been put in her mind. And it's not you speaking, it's you pointing out something on the card. So she's not going to resent you. But she's going to remember, maybe she should stay out of it. and let the daughter live her own life. This is not the only meaning of the Six of Cups, of course, but it can be what you notice and what you start speaking about. Seeing the couple on the card could start a discussion about relationships in general and what they're for and what we maybe should expect of them. Like, because people can often think that the partner really should be ideal and should be the one they go to for absolutely everything, but it sort of doesn't work like that. And you can have a useful discussion about people and why we need other people and what they're for. But we can also look at the picture and see there's a gift being exchanged. So you might suggest that the mother could give the couple a present or give them some cash to go out to dinner or do something special. Or the fact that there's a gift being exchanged, it can emphasize the value of partnerships and having somebody to share life's experiences with. And that's important, even if you don't always agree on everything with your partner all the time. You have to take the good with the bad, or go through the ups and downs. And the mother may have forgotten this, or maybe she's focused too much on what's not working and forgetting about what is good about the relationship. So you're not going to find this type of meaning in a book. At least I don't think so. But I think it's partly because the meaning depends on the context, or it depends on the question. And books really can't cover all questions and give you extensive answers to every question. So really it's up to you to do the work. And if you do, you're going to get your reward and you end up with a good reading. Okay, the follow-up. Get some books or go online and look at art. Look at paintings of the old masters and modern art and become familiar with colours and shapes and the message that, or the messages the picture is sending out and what's good and bad in your opinion. And just kind of educate yourself about art and pictures. And a painting paints, or a picture paints 1,000 words. So you look at the Mona Lisa, what are the 1,000 words that the Mona Lisa is saying? Or take other works of art and just look at them. And you're going to find that because you sort of cooperate with the painter and with the art that's there, you begin to see more in a tarot deck, and you're able to make more sense of it and do more with it and be more used to the questioner and be able to come up with more complete answers for the person asking the question.